Police is not playing no games. I'm very impressed with what's going on over there in Colombia. Very, very impressed. Because usually what we see in this society today is people are so busy pacifying people that they are not able to hold them accountable for the things that they're doing. But it seems like they're not giving in, they're not negotiating with terrorists, and they said either you're going to get up off the property protesting for something that you don't even represent, or we're going to arrest y'all. So make sure y'all take a look, hit the like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get to it, y'all.
Join us here in New York is Carrie Kupek-Urbahn, Fox News legal editor, used to be at the Department of Justice. Carrie, just talking a little bit about the money. You know, people over the last week or two have been saying, where's the money come from? This would seem like something that the Department of Justice or the FBI, and KJP kind of alluded to this yesterday, it seems like something they should be looking into, because it's not just, you know, it's not a peaceful protest. There is an apparent conspiracy across the country at these campuses to spread this anti-Semitism, which is illegal.
Oh, for sure. And the Department of Justice and the FBI can look into it. I know that they can, because when I was at DOJ during the summer of 2020, post George Floyd, that's exactly what we did. We were looking to see where that money was coming from. Was it traceable to, say, Antifa? And that's, you know, one of the ways you hunt this down. You look to see where are they getting these gas masks? It's not like they're picking them up from 7-Eleven, you know. It's someone
who's buying the tents.
Who's buying the tents. And it's certainly something that the department and the FBI can do, and I hope they are doing right now.
When you look at what these people...
I mean, that's a fair assessment, because where's all of this money coming from? They buying all of this equipment, masks. They ain't got no jobs, apparently, that they got to get over to. They've been spending all of this money on supplies and tents, and I'm trying to figure out where's all of the money coming from. That just tells you that it's more than just what you see on the surface.
We're going to be charged with. If you go by New York, not much. They said of the Columbia, about 170 of those 300 people are getting summonses, that 100 are either desk appearance tickets or the cases they're going to run through the system. Out of the 280 arrested, nobody is going to jail.
Jesus
so what is going to be
what's
the
the point?
They're as light on crime as New York. So are they going to go on the bus? They're going to get fingerprinted? They're going to be let out? Are they going to get a parking ticket?
They shouldn't be. I mean, there are a number of laws that, just looking at this tape right now, I can see that.
Look at all of that graffiti. Ain't nothing peaceful about this. They spray painting, they tagging. It seems like these are paid people that come in and do this and cause all of this disruption in a lot of ways. That guy looked like he Asian. You undermine the power of the police department when you can't properly prosecute, or there's no real consequences. If it's only going to be a death ticket, and they even had to spend all of this police resources in order to arrest you in the first place, it's difficult to stop these people from doing whatever it is that they're doing. The police can do their job, but if the laws are soft and you so soft on crime, what difference do it make?
Are being potentially broken. Trespassing, vandalism, resisting arrest. There are a number of things. Destruction of property. And these are the things that we saw during the summer of 2020. And I have to tell you, it's bringing back a lot of memories, especially because during that summer, it wasn't the protesters who got hurt. It were the police.
That's right.
There were many police who were injured and seriously injured as these protesters would throw things at them. They'd throw urine, they'd throw feces, they would throw rubber bullets, mace. It was terrible.
So Carrie, I got to ask you this, because New York Counterterrorism yesterday released some information, and one of them is Sami al-Aran, who pled guilty to conspiracy to provide services to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad back in 2006. Well, his wife was seen at one of the protests in Colombia, and they said that she's one of the people that's leading these protests. She doesn't live, she's not a student at Columbia, but she's organizing and getting these young people almost radicalization happen in real time. So what can the Department of Justice do to stop these outside actors from radicalizing our young people?
Well, the discovery of that woman, I think, makes it easier for DOJ and the FBI, because there's always this fine line, free speech and not profiling people based on their beliefs versus violence or threats of violence and terrorism. So the fact that that woman was discovered on campus and has ties to terrorism makes it a lot easier for them to look into the funding, work with the State Department, and work with our law enforcement partners abroad.
11 college campuses in crisis across the country tonight as protesters and police face off amid escalating tensions.
The battle between free speech and safety concerns on campus has reached a fever pitch. At Columbia University in New York, police officers in riot gear entered a campus building, arresting dozens of protesters. Back here at UCLA and USC, clashes have broken out between pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli demonstrators, prompting increased security and threats of disciplinary action.
We have team coverage of the student protests and the response by schools and the police. John Finolio is live at UCLA. But we begin with Sandra Mitchell in the KTLA News Center with the latest on the unrest at Columbia University. Sandra.
Shara, it certainly appears that order is being restored at Columbia University tonight, but it really was a tense few hours. NYPD says they used flashbang devices to distract the protesters, but no tear gas. Hamilton Hall has been emptied. The encampments that were on that campus also have been cleared of people. Taken away in zip-tie handcuffs, hundreds of NYPD officers stormed the campus of Columbia University tonight to take control of a building occupied by a group supporting Palestine and protesting the war in Gaza.
Hamilton Hall is now secure. There's no one else left in the building.
Late last night, demonstrators broke windows and chained doors at Hamilton Hall. Tonight, specialized police units crawled through a second-floor window of the building, arresting dozens of protesters and taking them away on NYPD buses.
So you can break windows, vandalize, destroy the university. We don't even know if you really go there or not. Keep a mask on your face, chain the doors, force the police to get in there another way, and then you're going to get a slap on the wrist, right? Because that's basically what y'all telling me. Y'all basically telling me that there are no consequences for rioting. Now, if I go over and I knock too hard on somebody else's door, then I'm going to be held liable for trespassing. You know what I'm saying? If it's somebody that don't want to see me there. But you can riot, tear up your city, destroy your environment, bust out windows with a hammer, force the university or taxpayers to be able to pay for it, also force the university and taxpayers to pay for a police presence there in the first place to be able to arrest you, and we just supposed to sit idly by, and that's the end of the conversation.
Many students frustrated by the distractions and the demands of the demonstrators.
And we're going to make classes go virtual because we're going to accommodate these protesters. And that's basically the message the university has been sending, and it's completely unacceptable.
Free Palestine!
After reports that the protesters were vandalizing the building, NYPD said they responded to the scene at the request of the university. A university spokesman said the protests had escalated to an alarming and untenable situation, and that officials believe the takeover was led by individuals who are not affiliated with the university.
I agree. Most of the time, it's usually people that's not affiliated with the university that's over there tearing up the most, because they don't really care what happens. It reminds me of what was happening during the pandemic when all of y'all was out there protesting. And then y'all was burning up Wendy's and AutoZone and all of your local stores and stealing and rioting and stuff like that. And then a lot of those stores never came back. And then they say, well, it wasn't really us, it was paid people. Interesting. Apparently, these two young guys decided to put their lives on the line in order to demonstrate against the very ones that's protesting and getting arrested. Take a look.
All right, the generation that came of age during the extended blue state lockdowns, including in New York and the George Floyd riots, is showing us what they've learned. The adults who celebrated the passion of those who spat at the police, tore apart our cities, and ripped down our historical monuments created what we're watching tonight on college campuses.
This is crazy.
Guys, my team, come on, link arms.
Look at this nonsense.
Remember on the January 6th, they smashed the window, right? That was a war crime, but they do it here, and it's like, well, do you want another pizza? All right, despite this travesty that we're seeing on campus, there is some hope. Two brave students at Columbia faced off against the angry mob as they tried to break into Hamilton Hall.
Running circle blockade around these three. We're going to move them out. Let's go. Another human chain. People united. Get someone wrap around. Get inside.
Is someone recording this? Are you recording this? This is 100% assault.
If somebody touch me, they getting hands. Don't touch me, bro.
Joining me now, Rory Wilson and Charles Beck, the two students you just saw. You guys, first of all, major kudos to you. I don't know whether just to congratulate you or declare you insane for trying to face off against that mob. But Rory, let's start with you. What made you decide to take that stand?
Well, it was pretty much on the spur of the moment. My friends got me out of bed, told me something was happening on campus. I ran over and I saw that it was pretty much chaos. People were smashing in the windows. Massive mob gathered outside of Hamilton Hall, piling up chairs on the inside and that sort of thing. So I wanted, just kind of off the cuff of it, wanted to show that I disapproved of what was going on, that this was completely inappropriate, destroying the property of our university, and that this is not at all the way that we ought to conduct ourselves in any sort of discourse. And so I just wanted to register my protest against their protest. That's what I was telling them when they were yelling at me, and say, I'll protest your protest. I'm free to do that.
Well, Charles, you actually got dragged away, I understand, at one point. Here's what happened. Watch.
You guys are the ones dragging people away.
All right, look, this is assault.
You're shoving me. All right,
so you know.
I will stop shoving you.
Ruin your whole life. Oh, sorry, you ruin your whole life.
I'm trying to get him and my other friend out.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to get them out. Why? Don't mess with me. Why are you trying to get us out?
Charles, one of your friends said something to you to convince you to move away at that point. What was said?
Yeah, that's a good friend of mine who I've known for quite a couple years. Essentially, he was really just quite scared for my health and safety. He had sort of had a top field vision of it, and he was afraid that if I'd remained there, that the crowd would have caused me serious bodily injury, even death. And essentially, what he whispered to me was, well, something along the lines of, "Don't be stupid, don't get martyred for a building." Sort of the idea that perhaps it wasn't worth getting that injured. But I can certainly see where he was coming from. Perhaps part of the sort of move here was I wasn't really thinking, to be entirely honest with you, about my own health and safety. I was more so just thinking of, I don't know, thinking that someone needed to say something. Ideally, someone at our university could sort of say that, well, they didn't agree with what was happening, and they understood it as something fundamentally wrong.
Well, they don't want to debate, Rory.
Yeah, I'm going to need these students, first of all, to be able to communicate a little bit more effectively. Shout out to these young men for standing up for what they believe in. But I said this. I said it, and I'm going to say it every single day that we review this, that this was going to spiral out of control. Two things. Number one, it's spiraling out of control. And if you don't nip it in the bud in the very beginning, it turns into something that ultimately becomes something that you can't control. Number two, I said that it was a distraction. Notice how no news reports are starting to come out anymore about the migrant crisis or people crossing the border. They only touch on it every so often. Now the big story is this. Now the big story is abortion. Now the big story is Kamala Harris becoming Mamala for the country. We always get thrown off and distracted by things that don't even matter. And then all of this junk goes away eventually after the election season. Every single time. Every single time we get distracted, and then it goes away after election season. But I'm going to just keep hitting on this because I don't want y'all to be distracted from the things that really matter, the stuff that you can really control. They over there tearing up the university. They getting arrested. They getting interrupted over there. And so y'all let them go ahead and be hippies and ruin their life and get arrest records and nothing happen to them and mess up their job prospects. But don't be distracted. Don't be dismayed. It's all something to keep you away from the thing that actually matters, which is best for you and who it is that you feel like should be president of the United States. And also make sure y'all vote locally and become focused on making sure that y'all be informed on what's going on with y'all policies on that front also.